When the world is faced with a crisis, leaders come together. The platforms vary, from the United Nations to the SCO to the OIC, the G7, the G20, different groups where leaders find solutions and pin responsibility. The wrongdoers are called out, sometimes even punished. But none of it is happening right now. It seems the Wuhan coronavirus has infected these world bodies too. They meet, but they achieve little. The Chinese virus has exposed their credibility crisis. The wrong sides are being allowed to say the right things. You're right, I'm talking about China. The global exporter of a crisis, given a platform to expound on what the world should be doing. We now have official details of who said what at the G20 summit yesterday, and the accounts are extremely underwhelming, disappointing even. Tonight on WION Edit, we ask why the world's 20 most powerful leaders failed to hold China accountable. They're all suffering, but why must they suffer in silence? And we shall focus on one leader in particular, Donald Trump. He made the most unfortunate of U-turns. This is the same man who once crossed out Corona from his notes and replaced it with Chinese in black ink. Trump insisted on calling it the Chinese virus.
He says ethnicity does not cause the virus. Why do you keep using this? A lot
Because
of
it
people
comes
say
from
it's
China.
racist.
It's not racist at all, no, not at all. It comes from China. That's why. It comes from China. I want to be accurate.
All the bluster was gone yesterday. The US president has now struck a conciliatory tone with China. Not only did he not put any questions to the Chinese leader, he had a late-night call with Xi Jinping. What happened there, you may ask? A quote-unquote very good conversation. Donald Trump now says they're working very closely because according to Trump, China has developed a strong understanding of the virus. How exactly? The answer probably lies in Xi Jinping's statement at the G20 summit yesterday. Let me quote some excerpts in order of the disbelief they invoke. The COVID-19 outbreak caught us all by surprise. China has acted with openness and transparency. We have put up a strenuous struggle and made tremendous sacrifices. We need to support the WHO in leading global efforts. China will increase its supply of anti-epidemic tools to the international market, and we need to cut tariffs, remove barriers, and facilitate the flow of trade. This is Xi Jinping at the G20 summit. Let me paraphrase it for you. We suffered, but we are fine now. You support the WHO while we sell you equipment and, by the way, drop the tariffs. That's what China told the world yesterday. What did the world say? Cheers. Read the G20 joint statement if you do not believe me. China's lines were appreciated by all. What does this tell you? That China's financial might is holding hostage the world's political will. The G20 was an opportunity to hold the Chinese regime accountable, not for us to hear how it has made sacrifices, because it hasn't. Not for its people, and definitely not for the rest of the world. G20 member nations did not even dare to politely suggest how China ought to change its policies so that deadly viruses do not spread like this in future. Let me tell you the price they'll have to pay for not being tough on China. 25 million global job losses. For our viewers in the United States, most of them will be in your country. 3.3 million Americans have already filed claims for unemployment. This was last week. Economists fear that the unemployment rate in America could reach 13%, 1-3, in about a month from now. What this means is that nearly a third of American workers are at risk of losing their jobs by May. For our viewers in Germany, 3 million people could be out of work if the crisis is allowed to get more severe. A report in the Labour Market Research Institute says that Germany's economic output is expected to shrink by 2% this year. And for our viewers in India, 120 million migrant labourers are seeing their wages disappear. Many cannot afford rent or food in cities with transport systems shut down. What are they doing? They're walking hundreds of miles to return to their villages. This could soon explode into a bigger crisis. The Federation of Indian Tourism Associations estimates that millions of jobs could be lost in the hospitality sector. The G20 member nations should look at these figures. After all, these leaders represent These countries represent 85% of global GDP. They need to break away with tired policies that have already brought devastation on the world. This pandemic is not a blind force of nature. It is not independent of human errors. The Wuhan coronavirus crisis is inherently political. It is a failure of governance. In this case, it is Chinese governance that has failed. And it is China that needs to be held accountable.